Hello and welcome to this review of Hartley imported brandy product of Italy. You say, wait a minute, you've done Hartley brandy before. Not exactly. A few years ago I did Hartley VS, which was interesting, not good, actually sort of bad. I did drink the whole 200 milliliter bottle, I believe it was. So that was, but you did have to almost admire the gall of the company to sell it. All right, so that was an experience. You know, it was like one of those things you say, okay, that was an experience. Then all of a sudden I started noticing the VS was gone in the New Orleans area, and everything is VSOP, the VSOP. That was better, not great, but a good deal better than the VS. And those are typically sold in the 750 milliliter bottles, glass bottles, you know, with that Weller shape, the old Weller Buffalo Trace bourbon whiskey bottle. And some other people were talking to me about that, and they even did videos, some people in Kentucky. So that was an interesting experience. But I had, over the last few years, also been seeing Hartley Brandy, just no VS, no VSOP, okay, just brandy. I said, what is this? You know, this one's got dust on it. I bought, oh, it's coming unscrewed even. I bought, didn't have to crack the top, it just, okay, I see, it's got some play in it. I see this sometimes with liquor brands. Not a good thing. I bought this at a corner gas station in Reserve, Louisiana on US Highway 61 southbound today. I went in there and I said, okay, Hartley Brandy. I figured I'm just going to keep looking at it, right? So I'll never do it. I'm going to do it. I asked the lady, how much is that? She said, oh, it's $6.99. Okay, not a good price, because sometimes you can find the 750 glass bottle for $6.99. These days around $8.50 a bottle. I said, what the heck? I mean, one day I'm going to decide to finally get the brandy and they're not going to have it, right? I've learned my lesson over the years. When you don't buy something, then you go back to get it, it's gone. So not a good value as far as price, considering what I can get. You know, I can get the 750, double the size for $1 more. You know, so, but anyway, it is what it is. It's done now. It's an unusually pale brandy. Look at that. Like, yeah, it has some caramel color. Doesn't say caramel color. But brandy, it doesn't have to say that. But it's very pale. It's very, very pale. You can see that. It's like watered down iced tea. So the appearance is strange. Now, when was this bottled? I don't know. It says, an arrow pointing up, SG8425. Means nothing to me. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now there is a digital code here on the back. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. B, that means I bet you Bardstown. All right. If I can get it to 12067. 1507. Okay, all right. The 67th day of 2012. Wow, 6 years old. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 minutes after 3 with 0.1, and in 1 second after that. Is that what that means? I think that's what that means. Okay, so obviously what happened was they just had Hartley Brandy. Psst. Then they decided to go to VS, and then VSOP. Now, this has been on the market a long time. I can't remember the date. I think it's 1937. I think it was literally introduced by Barton Brands, if I'm not mistaken. I can check. 1937. So hey, you know, Hartley Brandy has been lurking around on store shelves, usually the bottom shelf, for over 80 years, I think. Now this is a product of Italy. It says imported brandy. Now, if you notice, the new VSOP says made with imported brandy. Now pay close attention. Made with imported brandy, imported brandy. And it also says on the label with natural flavors added. It might say with natural flavors and colors added. This does not say that. Doesn't mean anything because they don't have to disclose it with brandy. It's not like whiskey where they got to, American whiskey has to disclose it. And anyway, enough of all that. It's got that, I'm going to put it in a Courvoisier rosé glass because, you know, Hartley's right on the level with Courvoisier brandy, cognac brandy. Well, you know, not really. A bottle this size of Courvoisier would be about, what, $29? Oh, well, you know, it's got the lion, the crest. It's just so... You might say that is like what bums drink on the street in San Francisco in a flask bottle and they put it in their coat. Kind of has that, but you know, that kind of presentation. But you know, hey, I see this at some of the better, you know, some of the better stores in the better areas of New Orleans. Honestly, you say, yeah, but they got some wealthy people out of cheapskates. This is true. But anyway, it is what it is. I bought it. It's done. Okay. Onward and upward. Still that unusual appearance. I mean, if I poured Courvoisier VS in here, right, the cognac, it would be amber, not pale, what is that, straw gold? I mean, it is very pale. Okay. Let's go with the aroma because they have that drizzled rum cake, as they call it, thing. Now this is 6 years ago. It has that. Oh, and by the way, the plastic Hartley is only the tiny bottles, 200 and 150 milliliter. You go to 375 and above, up to the 1.75 liter, the big bottles, they're all glass. Now you got to give them credit for that because, I mean, when you're looking at the cheapest of the cheap, they could put it in plastic all across the board. I don't think the Hobo International Association would mind, but it's a lot nicer to have the glass. It's got a strong nose, aroma of of alcohol, 80 proof, but there's something okay with this. It's okay, much better than I expected. I was expecting it to be worse than the VS, to tell you the truth. The aroma goes in your nose and it goes down through your sinuses, and it's almost like a rich, it's not a bread, it's what is that? Like a fruit, vegetable, a botanical thing. I don't know what it is. It's a botanical base, but it's very nice. So the appearance is not shocking because Hartley's light, but the aroma is shocking. I think it smells better than the VS or the VSOP, and I don't think you can get the Hartley Brandy anymore unless you go, you know, they'll have some bottles lingering. Okay, so we're doing well so far. Nice alcohol legs. I think we're doing well. We're doing well. Okay. Okay. Light body. Light body. Pretty clean finish, honestly. This is sort of amazing, I gotta tell you. Now, could I shop around store to store around here and find something cheaper than $6.99 for that same size glass bottle? I could probably, but I'm not going to go on some big search like that to save $1. It's, you know, it's done. Forget that. You might find it hanging around, though. Hanging around. Now, they have the peach, the apple, all the flavors. I told the lady, no, none of the peach. She said, well, what? It was like she was confused. Well, which one you want? I said, no, the one right there. She was standing literally in front of you. Now, like you're in front of something, so you can't see it. If it was a snake, it'll bite you. I said, right above the Tylenol PM. Oh, yeah. So she grabs it. She did the price check. And then she dropped it. It hit the counter. Bang. She said, ooh, you almost were drinking that out of a straw off the counter. I said, ooh, it was the only bottle she had left. And you know it's not coming in. When they're out, they're going to order the VSOP. That's what's available now. It's got, like if you drink Taylor dry sherry. I don't know if they make dry sherry. The Fairbanks dry sherry. It has that kind of angle on it. So think about dry sherry, white wine oriented items. It's got to be white grapes. How in the world would they be using red grapes to make this? I cannot believe such a thing could happen. Not a whole lot of drizzled rum cake, so they must have amped up that whatever bizarre flavoring they add to their brandy. And we are starting to suspect they're adding it to the Canadian whiskey, blended whiskey. But yes, golden raisins, those California golden raisins. Some kind of peculiar peppery spice, like you say it's alligator pepper, or it might be Jamaica pepper, you know, that white pepper. I don't know what it is, but it's something. There's a spice to it. There's the AC coming on. That's a good signal to stop. But it's not bad. I think it could hang with E&JVS. E&JVS has a little harsher bite to it. You know, you drink that, that's kind of like jackhammer, you know, when you're down to the VS level. Christian Brothers VS a little smoother, but it's not exactly, you know, the greatest thing. But I think this could hang with Christian Brothers VS, E&JVS, and Paul Masson VS Grand Amber. I think it is in play with those. So if I was buying any of those, I'd shop price, of course. And the situation here is that you probably won't see it, but there is a reasonable possibility that you could track it down. And it is not the same as I suspected. The Hartley Brandy, straight brand, you know, brandy. The VS, both of them, I think, gone. And the VSOP today, they are not the same. Similar, yes, not the same. And this is the most dissimilar of them. I don't know why they got rid of this. Maybe because it wasn't a strong enough drizzled rum cake. They wanted to appeal to the people that have the sweet tooth and want that candy-like flavor, especially considering all the flavored Hartleys they have today. And I mean, there's so many, which I've never tried. Had no intention to try. So to me, this is like more of like an old school, might have been popular in 1974 type item. I said this in some recent videos. If I was looking to buy cheap liquor, and that's possible, I wouldn't buy the American blended whiskey. And I wouldn't buy the cheap gin, I don't believe. Can't say about rum, never had it. Or vodka, because I've had the Taka and the Crown Roos and the Katzenbesthoff, no longer made. I think I would I would go with cheap brandy. There's something about cheap brandy that has a little more approachableness than the cheap other items. And I know there's a lot of cheap brandies out there, Bentleys and California 5-Star and all these other, I mean, I know what they are. I mean, you know what I mean? I recognize what I'm dealing with, but I like to deal with it just for the fun of it, you know. So, but yeah, it's okay. It's credible. It has its place in the sense of it's no longer made, but you could find it, and there are a lot of expired or discontinued liquor brands still lurking around. Canadian Club 6-year age, for instance. I can get cases of that if I tried. Wouldn't try to do it, but I could do it. So anyway, yeah, I'd recommend this. I'd be curious to see what you think about it. You might say, why are you making this video? But I mean, yeah, it's kind of fascinating. Fascination. All right, over.